Video games, what are they? What do they think? We are 4 friends who went on a mission to understand them by making and releasing one video game each month for the past 15 months. With each game, we aim for original ideas. We started from the bottom, learning by making very simple games, and now we're creating games ranging from exploring vertical worlds by leaving bubbles as messages for other players, to horror time loop game where you must prevent the candle to extinguish, otherwise you will have a bad time, to a goofy multiplayer frog platforming game. With every release, we gain a better understanding about coding, working in a team, and game design. In this video, we'll present what we learned by following the development of our first banger and my favorite game so far, Caillou. A game where you switch bodies with a giant ant using echolocation to see in the dark.
After releasing our first game, we enjoyed the experience so much that we decided to do it again and again and again every month. The solution we found to make one game per month is to take the first week to each prototype a small game idea that we would continue for the rest of the month. This schedule is clearly stupid and time consuming since we all have jobs on the side, and the thing is, we really like this workflow. It enables us to go for small scopes, but still we have enough time to finish the game and explore the whole idea. And we make small games and do stuff like...
Anyway, what did we prototype? Guillaume had a great idea. He wanted to make a game about a kid going to a pool but scared to swim. The idea was that the player would interact with many goofy characters who give them tasks and mini-games until the kid dares to swim. We also realized that rendering a pool scene without lights gave the game a great liminal vibe. So we could have gone for a liminal horror direction if we changed our minds. Angelo, he wanted to make a contemplative game where you play as a monk taking care of a giant bonsai. But Pierre did something crazy. In 1 week he created the best prototype I've ever seen, the prototype of Caillou. But I will let him explain the idea.
So yeah, initially I wanted to make a game about changing perspectives. I started by making a small creature that you can interact with and tell where to go. To communicate with the creature, we wanted to find a nice mechanic. Then we had the idea. Just make it blind and make it attracted to sounds. This was great because it opened up a crazy amount of opportunities. The player could guide the creature using sounds, and the creature could have a totally new perspective on the world, enabling it to see in the dark and navigate through dark tunnels. From the ant's perspective, here it's what it sees, complete darkness. But you can see the player moving around and throwing rocks. But that was only the prototype. After that, we started to actually work on the game.
When Pierre showed us this prototype, we didn't hesitate for a second to choose his idea. At that point, we joined forces and started to work together on the game. This month was special as a big game dev event, the Big Brotaro, was taking place in our city of Brussels. It's an event where selected candidates showcase their upcoming game in a big, reserved cinema room. When Pierre showed the prototype, there was only 1 week left to submit Caillou, so we speedran the development and got incredibly lucky to present it. The first thing we worked on was improving the look of the creature. Pierre is a nerd about insects, so we decided to go with an ant design. He was actually inspired by an insect he saw on the side of his bathtub. From this, multiple drawings were made and we finally settled on this design for the ant. It's cute, but also a little creepy, which matches well the liminal vibe of the game. The next step was implementing a clear and understandable body switching mechanic. So we created a switching body machine where you lure the ant onto a platform using the sound of rocks impact. There, if you're both on the platforms, you will exchange bodies. We added antennas when you're the ant, so it's easier to understand that you switch bodies, and now you can make weird high-end noises to see your surroundings. We also froze the human body in a static position, otherwise it was too chaotic to cut the behavior of the ant inside the body of the human.
A core part of the game was representing blindness and answering the question, what if you could only see sounds? We decided to use waves or 3D ripples colliding with the level. But how do we do that? There are 2 key steps. 1. Turn off the light. 2. Use the depth texture. It is a texture representing the distance between the camera and every object of the game. It looks like this. What a mess, am I right? The trick is to take a sphere, scale it up over time, and just give the rest of the job to a specific shader. The shader simply shows the intersection between the sphere and the geometry of the level. That's it. Sometimes the trick for making games is not to overthink everything and just turn off the lights.
For the game setting, we went for a liminal horror vibe. We wanted to subvert the player expectations by putting them in a horror game mindset, while it's actually a puzzle game about collaborating with your giant friendly ants. In fact, we know we nailed the vibe, because when you discover the ant for the first time, many players either choose to fight it or run away and hide in a corner. The premise is that you start Caillou stuck in a cell, and your goal is to escape this massive backrooms-like complex. We made the ants very big to increase the feeling of pressure in these small, enclosed spaces. You exit the first cell by throwing rocks at a big red button. I know, big red buttons are very subtle in video games, but hey, it works. Finding good puzzles was actually not that easy. It turns out the body switch and echolocation mechanics are quite restrictive. As we had 1 month to make the game, we wanted to keep it minimalist and not add other systems. The first puzzle we implemented is this one. At some point, you arrive in this room with 4 holes making a strange melody. You can throw rocks into these holes, but nothing happens. However, if you go back to this room at the end, you will see the musical pattern appear and learn the sequence. As a human, you just need to throw rocks in the right order and the door will open. There are more puzzles and backrooms in Caillou, but I won't talk about them because I already spoiled way too much about the game. If you don't plan to play it, I just talk about the multiple endings because I think they are cool. Otherwise, the game is free and you can go play it on itch.io. So skip to this timestamp if you don't want to get spoiled. Okay, let's go? The game has 2 endings. Once you reach the last room, you arrive in front of Prison's bar and a pressure plate. Behind the bars, you can hear birds and see a tree symbolizing freedom. But one of you has to stay on the pressure plate to keep the door open. So you must choose. Do you let the creator escape, or do you escape yourself, leaving the creator trapped forever in the complex?
At the end of the month, we tried to do some marketing, but honestly, I don't think we are very good at it. Luckily, Alpha Beta Gamer made a video about Caillou, which gave us a boost of 24,000 views. It's a super great channel to discover new games. I highly recommend it. At the time, we sold our games for €3 on itch.io. Since then, we decided to put them all for free to get more people playing our games. So if you have free time, you can go play them all on our itch.io page. Please give us some feedback.
Fun fact, Caillou means stone in French, which also translates to Pierre, but not Pierre from Cumide, Pierre like a rock. We learned many lessons from Caillou, it's time to get smart. One big lesson we learned when we were struggling at making puzzles was how to have a super effective brainstorm together. What we often do now is identify one specific flaw or missing element in the game that we need to brainstorm on. I think it's important to just choose one element, otherwise it can seem overwhelming to think about the entire game at once. We take pieces of papers, go to separate corners and brainstorm alone, and then we go back with new ideas. Even if after a brainstorm no one has found a complete solution, by merging our ideas and discussing them, we converge to a solution and we all feed off each other's ideas. Another big lesson is about teaching effectively something to the player. Even if something feels obvious to you as a developer, there is always a probability that the player won't understand. So, if you want the player to understand something, you need redundancy. For example, we had a lot of players that didn't understand that the switching body machine was switching body with the ant. So we added other cues. First, we added the human body floating, but it was still not enough because some players just didn't see it. So we added antennas, and now with all these clues, the player understands. Over the years, this became our favorite character we've ever designed. I 3D printed some figurines to give to the others.
Ah, la caméra. Ok. Oh, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? Qui a fait ça? C'est toi?
Ouais.
Oh, man. Mec, c'est tellement cool.
C'est Caillou.
What the fuck? Mec, c'est tellement... Ils sont articulés? Ah, non. Okay, this concludes the video. For all the game devs out there, or also everyone else, I send you all my energy. Make great games, play great games, and most of all, be nice to everyone, just in case it's a Daft Punk. And also we have a Discord server that you can join, so here's the link. Oh no, and the link is in the description, and come talk. We also wanted to thank all the patrons and people that supported us on our journey until now. So thank you very much, and we hope we will be able to continue making a lot of games together. C'est bien, non?